Welcome back, everyone.
What is going on, sis? What's going on?
What's
I know we
going
just started
on?
it yesterday, but so you watched this show. I watched the show this week. Last week I was like still stuck in my hole. I want a trip. But I watched it
Oh
today.
yeah, no, that was great, and I'm still excited for you about that. Um, yeah, this show was weird. Well, okay, so it wasn't all the way weird. I appreciated a couple of standout people. I finally felt like it heated up between some of the couples.
Yeah.
Actually, the ones that I was looking forward to heat up with. So like Phil and Aries,
hmm
and also Janelle and Quentin. I thought that was a nice exchange. But there's some other things that we have
There
to talk
were a
about
lot of awkward moments on some of those dates too. I
here.
was like, oh, are they putting these pauses together? Or like did this really go down like that? But you know what? When you're on dates with people you don't know, it is sometimes like awkward moments, especially depending on the subject too, you know? So
Sure, but like for
so
them to be
disrespectful.
filming this and showing it like that, it makes me wonder if they were trying to sort of like display the awkwardness, or you know what I'm saying, or
Yeah,
they
it
just
seems
didn't
like they
have
were like
anything else.
putting it on display, right? Hey
Hey,
Kamisha, shout
Kamisha.
out to Kamisha Reviews. If y'all don't know, Kamisha does a panel every Saturday afternoon. I believe it is 1 Eastern Standard Time, 12 o'clock Central Time. Um, we be over there talking. The cast comes through sometimes, and yeah. And Kamisha also does other reality shows, and Big Brother's on right now, so you know she's doing that as well.
Yes,
Go over there and get your tea. Anyway, welcome, Kamisha. Okay, back to the
welcome.
show.
Yeah, we just went on jumped right in because we just had so many things that we had to get out. Now listen, I don't understand why. I think I'm gonna just give the benefit of the doubt and think that they did the awkward stuff on purpose because they wanted to show like the actual vibe that was happening. Because
mm,
I'm sure there was other footage that they could have shown. It's
mm.
like we still haven't seen some of these people together, and it could be that they're not hanging out together, or it could just be that these people are awkward. Okay, should I start with the bad? Let me start with the bad so we can end on a good note.
Yeah,
Yes,
let's do that.
hashtag awkward. Okay, so Christopher. Let's start with Christopher and then get progressive after that.
Okay, can I go first?
Yes.
One of the things that I did notice about Christopher, it was something about his personality that I was just like, what is it that's like not there, right? He seems like he is I was saying like the word stoic, but what did I write? No, dry. Dry was the word like if he wasn't laughing, when he's not laughing,
Latin dry.
because when he's not laughing, he's dry as hell. And he was actually irritated tonight. You can tell he was irritated about being let go.
I felt like I sent some irritation from him on the date with Sierra as well, which I thought was interesting because he had just went up there and said,
Salty
I
nuts.
don't have
Okay.
What'd you say?
I said salty nuts. Okay.
Hello. He's like, I don't have any insecurities. I believe in myself. He didn't say I believe in myself. He was like, I bet on myself or something like that. And I was like, oh, dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what's up. And then she goes into the Birkin bag comment and the Chanel bag, and it was obviously a joke. But even if it wasn't a joke, it wouldn't have been inappropriate. I think people make too much of things sometimes, and I think that was the case because he was like, well, what if I can't get you that? Is that going to be something for you? And she was like, no, I'm gonna buy myself. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, okay, so you can't have a problem with that because she's not saying that, that you need to do that for her. She was making a joke because he had said, oh, whatever he had said, because he's all out there, like they said, selling himself, right? And I did pick up a little bit of that. Now I do understand what he's saying. Let me just play the other side too, because I understand that you have to tell somebody who you are, but also you could show them. And I feel like he could really take the information and like reflect on it before just throwing it out the window, like I felt like he did when he was eliminated. But
yeah,
who eliminated him? Kira?
Who eliminated Christopher? Yeah, it was Kira.
Like Kira. So I feel like that's also something interesting because delivery can be in there too. And I don't know how that went, but
we don't know how the rest of the conversation went. Kira is to me a little bit passive aggressive at times. And I don't know, like, because he was making faces and everything. Like, I was like, oh, he's not happy about it. I mean, I don't think any of them are happy about it, but some people take it more gracefully than others. You know what I mean? And
like Marvin, but we got into that yet. Let's talk about let's finish. Let's talk about Christopher again some more.
Yeah, so I think that I don't know at what point the Birkin bag subject came up in the conversation, right?
Right.
Like, did we see it like it was had? But at the same time, like they had to talk about so many other things. Like, you know, it seemed like that comment or that subject stuck with him. Like, oh, I can't afford a Birkin bag. I mean, even if you couldn't, he could have said anything else. You know what I'm saying? He could have just been like, well, I don't buy bags or something.
He was
like that.
I just met you, but like that's the whole point, is to get to know somebody. And she didn't say like Birkin bag or die. So I don't know. Like you said,
no, but I could see where he's coming from in the sense that it's only shout out to Aries. Aries was on the panel last night at the very end. If you guys missed that, go check the last video that we did last night. She did say that they're 2.5 weeks in at this point. So, and he got there later. So I could understand where he's coming from. But I mean, it's not like she asked him to buy the bag. She said she liked the bags, and then she said she would get it herself. So I feel like she meant it. I feel like she meant it lighthearted, but he made it a big deal. And then that's why she mentioned it in the lounge. Like, why is that the comment that stuck out? I don't know.
Yeah, obviously he does have some sort of insecurities. I'm not saying like that's his insecurity, but the idea that you just jumped from, oh, if I can't buy that for you, are you going to leave me? That was a little, it
was like a fearful statement.
Yeah, it was like, oh, where we going with this? But like you said, you probably didn't see the entire conversation.
He didn't even have to. He could just be like, oh, that's nice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
But it obviously touched him somewhere.
Yeah,
and he was like, hold up. And for him to go in the confessional is not even the same day usually. So he was still. I guess they asked him about it too, but he was still thinking about it. I guess like I just also just no bag.
Right, and combined with the way that because they just basically just produced him into sort of a gray light at that point, because I really didn't know if he had any connections anyway, but that just kind of like solidified the fact that like, oh, you could probably just go ahead and get out of here.
But I thought that he came in like coming in hot. Like he came in and really was able to connect with everybody and make him and Kat did the same thing. I felt like their personalities came in and just blended in, and they were able to grab up some connections real quick. But he I was just like, what is it? And I was like, he's dry. Okay, no, he's dry. So
I don't know if he necessarily fumbled, but it was like, okay, this is not a fit. Like your person isn't here or something. Because
but he did say that he didn't feel like the women were realistic though too. So that
really?
He said he was he did say he was a country boy. When he was leaving, he said, when he said it was one girl that asked about a Birkin or a bag or something, and he said, you drove up in an Uber, or you got here.
You took an Uber. That was weird because
nothing. Maybe she just didn't feel like driving, but. He seems like that type of country boy that is like not into superficial. You know what I mean? So
a lot of people take Ubers. I know people who have lots of money and nice cars, and when they're drinking, they take Ubers. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just what it is. Mm-hmm. And like, sure, you could get like a private car service, but it's not even necessarily necessary to do that. Also, you don't have to be rich to have something like a Birkin. Like, I mean, you should be. You know what I'm saying? But somebody, in certain industries, like you could, like when we talked about Social Proof before on the show, and one thing that David Shands would say is like he would build out an event or a product so that he could sell it and buy what he wants. That's how he bought his Rolex. Mm-hmm. He didn't take his Rolex money out of his bank account. He was like, oh, I'm going to go make some money so I can buy a Rolex. What could I do? Right. And he created something. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a non-Uber rider to get a Birkin, although, perhaps you should be, but it doesn't matter because it wasn't directed towards him and he took it personally. But listen.
Yeah, like I said, he could have just been like, oh, okay, and next subject, because they are still getting to know each other, and he didn't have to pick that up. But as we can see, they all weren't feeling him apparently. So they felt like he was selling himself, which I feel like it is a fine line because you do want to tell people about yourself, but you're trying to make a connection. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily want to know your resume. Just like if a woman would have come on there and been like, oh, well, I got this, I got that, I did this, I work here, I work, they would have been, running her down on the ground like, oh, she, she's too masculine and she, whatever. Yeah. And so, he could have, mixed in a little bit more personality in it. And I think that's where he's lacking. I think his personality didn't mesh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not all about what you've done. And so that would be the key takeaway that I would just highlight, is that like when somebody tells you what they've experienced, especially if it's multiple people, go ahead and just be like, let me ponder on that. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just being defensive. But I get it. Like nobody wants to feel like rejected or whatever. But I felt like he didn't receive that. But
no, and if you go on a show like this or any show similar, like you do have to go into it with that kind of mindset, I feel like, because a lot of times we don't see how we present ourselves. You think that you're presenting yourself one way, but there's no way for you to know unless somebody tells you, because you don't know what people are looking for. You know what I mean?
Hello. And he could have experienced that in his personal dating life off the show. And now somebody has to say something. That's the great thing about this.
Right.
Experiment is that now somebody has to tell you a reason why they think you're not ready to love, which now we get ready to go to.
Right. And they're all like single. So it's like, obviously we've done something consistently that has us to this point, right?
Right.
It could be different for everybody, but I feel like that going in with an open mind to be like, you know what, I'm about to be myself or whatever. And then you get the real, like when they're watching it back, they can kind of see, well, more than one person said that. So maybe there might be a little bit of truth to it, or at least in however you're delivering, you might think you're funny, but it might not come off as funny. You could crack a joke and it's just be insensitive or whatever. Like, so I think the feedback part is most important. And I applaud all the people who do come on there and are like, I got to see myself, you know what I mean? And like, because being able to like embrace that is where the growth is. Like, it's right there.
For sure.
When you shun it, it's like you're about to go make the same mistakes that you've been making. So, good luck to him, though.
Good luck to him. I think he's a cool guy.
Yeah,
I think he said that even though he says he doesn't have insecurities, he might want to really think about that. Sierra
look at Mocha. Hey, Mocha. Y'all make sure y'all follow Mocha Mima Media. Yes, we started early because we are usually late. So,
right.
Applause. But shout out to Mocha.
He was basically saying like he's a consistent person, so he does have some really good qualities, and I think he's not going to have any trouble finding a mate at some point. I can't remember what his age is, and he's not listed on the site, but I think he's in his 30s. I wrote it down somewhere, and he's not going to have any problems finding a boo. So but hopefully he can listen to this and like take something from it. People can't be trusted with time. I know that's right.
Oh my God,
I can't even deny it. She's right. So listen, now I want to jump to Marvin, because talking about
Marvin,
like, okay, because we're gonna talk about this.
Let me go put my cape on. Hold
Man, this guy here. I mean, I feel like he has. I feel like he's very polite, and it feels like his intentions are, I wouldn't say good, and I feel like I would say genuine. I wouldn't call him genuine. I would say his intentions are genuine. I feel like he's like sort of like a gentleman, but everything else just is a red flag. I'm so sorry. It's like he's willing to switch up. Like he had said something at one point like, oh, well, depending on who of course I'm going to say what I'm doing now because I'm single. But when I get my lady, then it's all my life is going to be focused on her. But it's like, you don't change you when you meet somebody. You're compatible with somebody. It's like, what you going to be an accountant? You know what I'm saying? You've been out here in these.
All right, let me snap my cape, y'all. Like, here's the thing, right? I'm not caping for Marvin. I'm not caping for Marvin. But I just want to present another like perspective, right?
Sure.
Now, right now I have goals, right? I have things that I'm going to do. I feel my schedule like to the point where I'm busy all day, like not busy doing one particular thing. I even schedule in my time that I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to read, or I'm going to sit here and I'm going to watch a show or whatever. I already know that I'm going to do that, right? But if I start dating, I'm going to have to change that. You feel what I'm saying? So if somebody that I just met, I really can't incorporate them in the answer to the question if I'm not already with them. So I gotta say what my plans are now. But you have to understand that in dating, it's a compromise and things are going to change on both sides, right? So I feel like, but I do feel like it's a consensus that all of the women feel the same, that he's selling dreams. He's a dream seller out here.
He's a dream seller.
Dream sellers, you know what I'm saying? And dream sellers they're good at what they do. They peddle those dreams, you know what I'm saying? And
First of all,
he does seem like he could be a dream seller, you know what I'm saying? But I don't think his person was there. And I think that even when he says stuff, they just don't believe him. Yeah. But he also has that type of personality. Like if a man looks good and he's smooth or whatever, like it's hard to believe sometimes. Are you really just saying that? Or are you telling me, do you say this to all the ladies, right? You don't want to ask that, but in your mind, sometimes you're like, that sounds a little bit too good to be true, right? And he does have that kind of spirit to want to make everybody comfortable. So it might be some truth to that. You know what I mean? I can't believe they let two people go, but you know, I guess they were the two to go because everybody else pretty much has connections, you know. So
yeah, I don't know what the thinking behind that was, other than like, let's stop playing around. There's not that many connections, so let's just get rid of some of these people. Because honestly, you could lose viewership like that if like we had to stick around and wait for one of them to leave again, and they're going through another like period of time with no connections. It's like you still trying to force it. Like, go ahead and get them out of here.
I mean, shit, we want Kira to go. You know what I'm saying? I think that they cut those people sometimes to make it a competition too, because if it's less men than women, now they're all really overlapping in connections, right? And that ups the drama, that ups the competition, and so I think
it throws off alliances.
It throws off alliances, and so you know, because this don't do, you know, from past seasons we've learned that it does go a little bit like Hunger Games sometimes, you know what I mean? But you know, I think that Marvin's person wasn't there, and neither was Christopher's. I think that they weren't really connecting. It's not like they, you know, they had some solid connections or whatever, because Marvin thought he did, but all of those women were still kind of skeptical because of what he does, you know. So,
and that's what I was getting at. It's like, I don't know. Listen, I think it's completely possible for him to find somebody, especially in that space, that might be willing to do, you know, to do a relationship with him. But I think that, well, I don't know, because Unique seemed like she was down. But my thinking is that, like, you might have to leave that in the past in order to really, you know, commit the way that somebody needs you to commit. But you also don't want to change yourself. So
I mean, but that's his livelihood at this point.
I know,
so like that's his job.
If that's your livelihood and it's preventing you from finding love, you might consider that. Like, I don't know. I won't say preventing, but I just feel like it's going to be hard for him to connect with people when especially when Jessica was like, he's a stag. If he said that, well, I don't know. I think he probably did say that.
Probably did say that.
Okay. And it's like these little things come out and you can't be shocked by them. So he might pop out one day and be like, hey, I know we're getting coffee, but I'm wearing a butt plug. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, what? You can't be shocked by that. You know who I am. You know what it is. I got one for you too.
Oh, hell no. So listen. Like, here's the thing. The people that they are meeting on the show, that's a small number of people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the chances of really being, like I always say, the chances of really being attracted to these people are, you never know. Like, it's a small, but it is a microcosm of what we get out in the world. But I don't think that he will have a problem finding somebody, because he did have a polygamous relationship before. You know what I'm saying? And then there was a picture that came out. I don't know if it was his girlfriend, but I think at the beginning of the season, somebody posted something. So we kind of knew he wasn't going to end up being, you know, at the end of the show. But I don't feel like he will have a problem finding somebody. He just couldn't find nobody there. He's gonna have to find somebody who's into that stuff, though.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
I think so. And I mean, and it's not necessarily 100% like all or nothing, because I do think Unique was interested, but I also think that people who are into that are not going to necessarily understand it, and you're going to run into some issues at some point or another.
Yeah.
Like you're not in the world.
I ain't doing none of what he's talking about. So,
and it's like he he was the one that was exactly Marvin is acquired taste, but he was the one that was saying like, if anybody has any insecurities about this or like, questions, I'm happy to like let them reassure them and tell them that like, this is not what you think it is. But I think it is what he thinks it is, but he doesn't realize it's exactly what people think it is.
Probably because he's had people accept it in the past. He's been able to do it for as long as he's doing it. And he had that polygamous relationship. So in his mind, it could be done. You guys are just prude. You know what I'm saying?
You know what?
Not you, but that's what I feel like he's looking at them. Because I'm a prude. So
I want to applaud him for being honest in those ways, because I think people should be more accepting of people when they reveal themselves, because it causes people to want to lie when they're not accepted as themselves. And I didn't feel that from him, but I think the women were thinking like, I think a lot of them Lee straight out flat out said like, I'm scared. I was scared of you. Like,
but she still had questions.
And she even said, she was like, she was interested. She said there was more to explore of him. She was like, she wasn't really feeling him or whatever, but she didn't say she wasn't feeling him. She was like, she didn't know if they were the same, like on the same plane or whatever, but she wanted to explore different ways of him or something. And she asked him, what is his temperament? He, and this is interesting. I like this part where he was like, he hasn't seen that from her that she wants to be pursued. Oh, that was a genius comment, because it's something that could really go over people's heads. Like, I think there is a play back and forth when women and men are dating, or whoever you date, where there's like an attraction, and there's an agreement that like, oh, there's something here, and you have to throw out a line for people to understand that like, hey, I'm interested in you, or otherwise you kind of like mismatch. Because he was like, oh, I haven't seen that she wants to be pursued. So I don't think he was putting a lot of energy into that connection, because he felt like that. And if she had even the least bit of interest in him, then that could have been something that they could have, I don't know. I don't know if it could have been something.
I mean, yeah, but that could have also been, however he's used to being, treated or communicated with. He probably was thinking like, he could have been thinking like that, because they're all still new at this point, So, but I do agree with you. There is like a dance or whatever, if you will, But to go back to, the women being turned off about him, it's kind of the same thing. Like in business, right? When you come up with an idea and you're going to start a company, you do want to be so specific that you push away the people who the product is not for, so that the people that means that the people who really need the product will be able to tell it is for them. And I feel like it's the same in relationships. Like, it's only doing yourself a disservice not to be your true self and not to be honest, because you're going to give the person a chance to actually make a decision and not be tricked into whatever he's doing. And I feel like I keep saying what he's doing, he has to be upfront with that. Like, I don't want to find out, months into us dating that you're having these secret parties and you have this whole dungeon. Like, nah, you should have told me in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And he probably is used to people being like, so which is why I think that it'll be best for him to have somebody who's expand. And like I said, there are people out there like that. I watched his sex talk with him and Tequila, and there are people who want it, who are into it. You know what I'm saying? So that probably is the route that he should go. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents.
Well, no, I love those. I definitely think you hit some great points with that, because it's important for people to know up front, even if that means that you get eliminated because of the truth.
Because otherwise you're playing around.
Right. Exactly. Otherwise you're just there for what? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to be yourself. And I think that's where it was getting, because it's like, I get where he's coming from. Like, it was giving too malleable. It's like, you can't be just like clay. You know what I'm saying? I need you to know what it is that you want. Not even like everything has to be solid, written out in paragraph format or whatever, but it's like, I need you to know enough about what you want to be able to say, like Morier, which we get into after this.
I think that he probably got caught up in there was probably a lot of extra conversation about what he does and how hesitant they were to, accept it as far as like, I don't want to be with a man that is doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like at some point he probably was just like, okay, well, I gotta try to, like, I'm not saying that he was lying or nothing, but he had to try to make people feel better about, and you know, because that stuff is deep.
He tried to clean it up. And listen, it could be that he, kind of bags back off of that stuff, but it has to be introduced by him. I just don't think it would be cool for somebody to come along and be like, I'll be with you if you don't do this anymore. Just do the author part, not this part.
Right.
You can't change your life for somebody like that. It just doesn't, in my opinion, it just doesn't work out because there's some sort of resentment that comes through at some point.
If that's what he really wants to do, yeah, you're right. Because you said it yesterday, like, if he goes on a business trip and you want him to be in, and you said that y'all are in a monogamous relationship, then you're going to be thinking, as a woman, in the woman's mind, you're doing everything over there. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on. So.
And because he has so many, I don't want to sound green over here, but like he has so many terms and understandings, things that I've never heard before. I'm just like, you know how there's that age old, like, I don't know if it's age old anymore, but like when people are like, is fellatio sex? Is kissing sex? Is kissing cheating? Right? And it's just like there's way too many options of things that he knows about that would be a question of, is this really cheating? All we did was do this. All I did was watch her have sex with another man. I wasn't cheating. I just had my penis out in his heart. Right? It's just like, okay, wait a minute. How did you get there? Well, this is what I do every day. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, let's just hold it here, buddy.
I mean, whenever you're part of a community, there are things in terms that people are not going to understand. Like you're in a planner community, and you probably know a lot of stuff that
For sure, I get laughed out about that. It's funny.
But that's different because it's sexual. But you have some points. I mean, I think that, like I said, there is an audience for him, and there's probably a whole bunch of women that are in his inbox right now, and he probably should go with somebody that is into the lifestyle at least somewhat. Like even if they're not even all the way in like he is, if they're into it a little bit, then that'll be probably better than to try to convince people who didn't ask for that. You know what I'm saying? So, but it is
because he seems like a cool guy. I think he's gonna, he'll be okay. It'll be okay one day. I hope he just continues to tell the truth, because I just feel like so many people don't, and then you find out later, and it's just like you're just out here ruining lives.
I mean, for the people who are into astrological signs and stuff like that, he is a lying Libra, so I don't know, how true he's being. I don't know. He seems genuine to me, but
when Kat asked him about whether he was able to function or operate in a monogamous relationship, the answer that he gave, I didn't believe it. Okay, I don't know him, but like I was just looking at him. He had his shirt open.
Oh my God!
It was just like he had these necklaces on. Like I was just looking at him like, you don't look like you're telling the truth. And it's like, you know what I mean? It didn't fit. Anyway. It didn't fit. I was like, are you really telling the truth? And I think that's probably what the women were getting. Well, so anyway,
they didn't believe him.
Let's move on to Herbert and Kira, which was a little cringy. It was a little bit awkward. This is hashtag awkward here, right? This is exactly what we're talking about. Herbert and Kira got together. Kira, apparently made dinner, and they were, it seemed like they were at her house, and she kind of told Herbert that he was nonchalant. And he talked about how he had 2 or 3 connections. And she was like, well, am I one of them? And I don't think she is, actually. Because he's already said that he has Lee and
Janelle and Sierra.
And I don't know if Sierra's one of him, but I, for some reason, felt like he mentioned Kat at some point. I don't know. He assured her. He said to her, but like, what are you to say in that point, right? He said, oh, sure, of course you are, right? But the whole date was weird. It looked like they were just friends or, acquaintances. Like she made him do a whole like TikTok-esque dance, and it was just forced. And he was like, oh, it's fun and flirty, but I don't see, he was like, he's not sure how much there is there outside of that. And the whole thing is giving surface. Like, if I'm being honest, I don't know Herbert like that. He is kind of nonchalant. I'm not able to see him. And so I don't know if he's giving nonchalant or if he's just not interested.
But Janelle said the same thing pretty much. he wasn't calling her back, right? So they agree on that part because they don't agree. Her and Janelle don't agree on a lot. But she, might be some truth to that because he was saying the same thing. So my question is, who are you talking to then? If you have 2 to 3 connections and Janelle's one of them and you say Kira's one of them, are you talking to the other one, or is the other one going to come and say you don't call her or text her either? Like, how are you getting to know these women? You know what I mean? But what I also wanted to say about that date is, why she let her dog jump on that man like that? Like, well, if you're a dog owner, like at one point it looked like he didn't like really slap the dog, but he kind of like waved the dog away. Then he's trying to like drink or whatever, and the dog jumping up on him. I'm like, is that her dog? Is that her dog? Like,
well, she said that he brought Jake a toy. I assume that's the dog.
Yeah, but is Jake really her dog? Because
I don't know.
As a pet owner, I don't just let my dog just do whatever. Right. And we only saw the edited part, so he had to be jumping on him the whole time. Like, get your dog. Stop it.
She's a peculiar
and
one.
Open the damn toy.
Right. He was just playing with the toy with the cardboard on it. But
he couldn't even get the full effect.
Something about her is just not genuine. I can't put my finger on it, but it seems like she's just I don't know. It's giving fembot. You know what I'm saying? Like Austin Powers fembot. Like it's like I don't know what it is, but she's and then I'm gonna skip from Kira and Herbert to Kira and Morier because Morier, I never looked at him like he was like all right, but I could get behind this guy at this point because one of the things that's coming across for me is that he's honest. I've seen him do this a few times, and the way that he said with conviction to Lee at the date where he could have possibly gotten eliminated, he was like, "I have a duty to my people. Okay, that's is what it is. Like I'm not going to change that." I was like, "Yes, okay." Not even that he has the duty to people, but the fact that he knows himself to the point where it's like, if he was like, I'm a mechanic and that's that, and I'm not going to change myself. Like, that's kind of what I understand a man to understand about himself when he's ready for a relationship. Like, look, this is who I am. This is what I know about myself, and I'm not getting ready to back off of that. So I had mad respect for him when he said that. And also in all of the, interactions that I see with him, he's always being honest and genuine, even if it's uncomfortable for the other person. And so I definitely have respect for him in that regard. That said, that whole conversation between him and Kira, there was a lot there.
Like, because my thing is, I get what you're saying and I agree with that. But I also just want to say, like, listen to what he says he does, right? He's, proclaiming himself as an activist and stuff like that. And in this world that we live in, nobody is gonna, like, if for instance, if he, I don't even want to, I'll just say it like this. He can't be out in those streets being an activist with her acting like she acting. Everybody is not going to take him seriously. They're going to be like, dog, what is she doing? You know what I'm saying? Right. And so I don't think it's that. And then she also, it's funny you said the comment about her not being genuine, because she actually said that to him. Like, I would think you would be able to notice a genuine person.
Oh my God.
She is like passive aggressive to me, and she knows that she's kind of condescending, but she's acting like she's not. Like, I'm not gonna, there's a phrase for that, but I'm not gonna say it. But like, we all know some people who say stuff in a certain tone, but then act like they're not saying it in that tone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, stop it, girl. You know what you're doing. Stop.
That was definitely a dig from her. Let's dig into that for a second, because I feel that from her. Even going back to the Quentin thing, it's the consistency. It's a pattern here. Going back to the Quentin thing, also, and the irony, excuse me, y'all, I'm kind of sick, but the irony of her being offended and feeling prejudged. She says, I felt like you prejudged me, and I would think you would have an idea of genuine versus not. Well, perhaps he does. You know what I'm saying? And perhaps you're not. Right. And that would have completely gone over her head, because I'm getting a sense from her that she is thinking that all the guys are after her. and this is what you have to do to be with me. Like when she was talking to Herbert, like, well, you're gonna have to go a little harder for me if you're gonna do this. And it's like who said he's going after you? You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't get that, and maybe it's because he was nonchalant, but I felt like, who are you to be out here talking about this is what you have to do to be with me? Who said they wanted to be with you? I don't know. They're on the dates, but I wasn't getting that from these people. And then so for her to go, so I felt like she went kind of hard at Morier because she was like, she was questioning his character because he was, and he clearly stated like the connection is not there. Like I don't know if he said that on the date. He probably did not.
No, but it's like, a no for him. I feel like
it's a no for him. But she's sitting there talking about that we didn't get to the root of the issue. It's like, you have the issue, lady. You're the issue. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. Like, hopefully watching the show back. Like, but she did put out an apology for Quentin last week. Did you see that on Facebook? I mean, on Instagram?
I did not.
She addressed the whole, you know, prejudging him and her blackness and stuff, right?
Oh, cool.
I don't know. I read it. I'm not even going to pull it up and read it because I don't feel like it's worth reading because you're still displaying the same kind of behavior. And now it looks like you're turning it around on Morier when, you know, just be real about what it is. Like, you cannot be standing beside this man while he's out there fighting the black fight. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Can you imagine him at a BLM conference or something and she's over there like,
no, and she doesn't take it as seriously as him. So like it's just a no, but she could go without doing the condescending part, right? Because just because it's not a connection doesn't mean that either of you are bad people. It's just not a connection. Right. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And I'll be transparent here because this is something that I'm actively learning about, just sort of like self-awareness. It's like, well, just because I feel a certain way doesn't mean that's the truth. That's just my perspective, right? So like when this is when it drove home, it's like she was like, I felt like that was a slap in the face, as if that is the end of the conversation. And I feel like at one point he did say, oh, you know, like sort of apologetically, like, you know, oh, that's sad or whatever. I didn't mean to do that. Or, you know, and it's like, he felt like he had a slap in the face. So it's like, where is the ownership of that? Where is the accountability there? And it's like, I do see from what has been shown to us on the show that she has this sort of air, even the way she came at Quentin, like he was obviously after her. And you know, let's get this clear, right? She said that when she asked him about the white woman thing. She's like, oh, okay, I'm glad we cleared that up. It's just like, ain't nobody out here trying to, you know, like check all your boxes. Like everybody, and at one point, Tommy said Quentin was giving grown man or something. And I'm getting that from him too. And he keeps saying that he's done the work. And he talked about how he's dealt with some trauma and he's ready to, you know, go to the next steps. And also the way he talked to Janelle, I just felt like I'm getting that vibe too. So it was interesting for her to come to him. I don't know whether to take her seriously because she's halfway joking. She's halfway sort of like an asshole about the way she delivers stuff, which... Hi everyone, welcome to my club. Like I kind of do that sometimes too, just like not even trying to, but just like, you know, things are funny to me. But I see that in her, and I'm accepting that in me too. It's just like sometimes you got to really think about what's happening around you, and like it's not about you. And that's what she was giving me. It was like she just thought it was all about her, and all these men came to court her, and let me tell them what my list of demands are. And it's like, actually.
No, but see, that is part of what I feel like a lot of them deal with on that show, because especially if, you know, you're on there and you have one perception of it because you're in it, you know what I mean? And you don't know what's going to be shown or whatever. So, you know, you just got to really be careful about how you come off. And like I said, you could think that you're cracking a joke and it just doesn't land the right way, you know? And so I don't know, like, I don't know any of them personally, but I'm just saying, like, for her, it just seems like she had a different perception of how she was presenting herself than she's actually coming off. So hopefully when she watched the show back, she'll be able to pick up and be like, you know what, I didn't have to say that, or, you know, I didn't have to say it like that. Because even when she was talking to Janelle, I was just like, you know, Janelle isn't a crowd favorite, but Janelle has some points, you know what I'm saying? And the way that she was dealing with Janelle was like, I don't even know what the appropriate word is for it, but like she knew what she was doing. Like you weren't even listening to what she was saying. Yeah, she had a tone, but then her tone was like that, condescending,
Yeah.
like
All
somebody's
that.
talking and you're just like, okay, yeah. And it's like, come on now, you know, and then the things she was saying, you know what I mean? So it's just like, get her out of here. Get her out
It
of here.
just didn't seem like she really had any accountability for, like, or just like there's not another side. It's all about what she's experiencing, and that means everybody else needs to see it from her side, and they all misunderstood. Now on to Janelle.
That's how it comes off.
Because this was funny when Jessica and Janelle. Okay, so Jessica's hilarious because she did that impression of Christopher, and she was
spot on.
I was like, dang, girl, are you a comedian? Do you do comedy shows? Because that was way too good. So I thought that they both did a great job of communicating under some element of, you know, conflict. Janelle was a little harsh, but I can't knock her communication skills. This lady's a great communicator. Like, whether she's nice or not, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I can tell that she probably had been waiting to say it. She was watching her words, and she was. I thought she was really upset, and but she was poised about it, you know, to a certain extent. I don't know. I think that it was a moot point though, because Kira didn't receive any of it. So
yeah, it was probably not for her. It was probably for just so that it would be said. And then she had that opportunity to say, I don't like you, which is like, how do you even deliver that? But I got it because it was like, oh, now we're having conversation. Let's nip this in the bud. You know what I'm saying?
Because she goes in, Kira goes in with the expectation that you want to hear what I have to say. You want to, you know, she just has that air about her, and Janelle was just like, listen, I don't have to talk to you. I don't like you, and you know, whatever. So
that was funny though. I'm sorry. It was funny to me. But it's on to Jessica and Chris. What do you think about Jessica and Chris? She brought lunch to his work site, and he was surprised by that. I think she said she popped up on him, but I wonder how true that was. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, because production had to be involved because they needed to film it, but.
And like, you bringing somebody lunch, you don't know if they had lunch. Well, maybe
or you don't know if they're there. You know what I'm saying? She would have, but I mean, they probably, you know, it is.
Yeah, there was some element of planning. Somebody knew something. Okay.
So he's saying that he wants her to be soft, and I get that sometimes too. Like, because as a woman who is like used to handling stuff on her own, you just develop just this can-do, take charge attitude, and sometimes you don't realize that that's how you're coming off, right?
Yeah.
So he's telling her that he wants her to be soft. She's saying she don't know how to do that or whatever, but he's also guilty of not returning phone calls as well. So it's like a theme.
Yeah.
Everybody is a theme except for Aries and
Phil, who I'm gonna.
Phil's doing his damn thing. Okay, he's returning calls. He's staying on the phone. He's having those conversations. But it seems like a lot of the other women feel like some of the men are not reciprocating. Now, I will say, in this day and age, it's hard to figure out what's supposed to happen, because it used to be, yes, the man pursues the woman. You could tell. You can still always tell when a man wants you and stuff, but some men require you to do work that you may not even understand that they want you to do. They're sitting there waiting for you to call them first, and it's like, how old are we? Like, if you want to talk to me, just call me. You know what I'm saying? You have a life, I have a life. It doesn't mean I'm not thinking about you, but maybe I'm just, you know, maybe I had a bad day. Maybe I'm swamped. Like, maybe something happened. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. But it's hard to figure out that happy median sometimes in this day and age. But with this show, I feel like the goal that y'all are supposed to be doing is to get to know each other. So y'all have to, like, Herbert cannot use the excuse anymore, you know, I don't think multiple women, because you only have a certain amount of time, and you have to make those connections or find out that there's not a connection. You know what I mean? So you know, Chris is I don't know. Jessica still is into him though, so yeah, she's willing to give him a chance. She thinks he has potential, which the potential don't have nothing to do with us. So we should stop, you know, paying attention to the potential, because if he doesn't see his potential, then right, you know. So you know, I don't know. Now
Herbert, like you said, Herbert has been warned So more than one person has told him about communication. Well, he need to be concerned if he trying to stick around, because
if one more woman
get up there and say,
listen, if one more woman get up there and say that he didn't return their calls, then I'm gonna be like, who the hell is he talking to? If he's not calling the people who are his connections,
I don't know. Maybe he's doing it like one at a time, because he was like, I don't do well with like dating multiple people, so I don't know what his deal is. Or maybe he's I don't want to accuse him of that, but I was gonna say maybe he's dating outside the show or something like that. But I know that people have lives and they have work and they have stuff like that while they're doing this, and maybe he's not like a phone person. I don't know. But
you're on a show that is unorthodox, right? So you cannot go the same way. And like I said, if one more person get up there and say that he did that, I'm just gonna be wondering what was he doing? Like, who was he talking to if he wasn't making these connections or whatever? And remember, we're only like almost 3 weeks in from their point of view. Like, so you like in 3 weeks, almost 3 weeks, you have 2 people saying that you're not returning, you're not reciprocating, or you're not returning calls. Because it's like I say, it's like questionable. Like, if the dude don't call me, I'm gonna take it as you're not interested. You know what I'm saying? Because the man, I'm used to the man pursuing the woman. I don't know. Maybe they're looking at it the same way. You do have to. It's a catch-22. It's a catch-22. I guess, and it's also subjective depending on the person, because some people may not need that much, encouragement, and they can be like, all right, we talk, I don't know. But if they're supposed to be getting to know each other and you only have been here a couple of weeks and people getting cut right and left, dude, you need to start to get on that phone. You know what I mean? Even if it's like texting, because they can't see each other, or they're not supposed to see each other outside the show. But
outside of filming. But sometimes they film and it doesn't make the show. But I get what you're saying. Like, I don't know how to navigate that, but he's been warned. So like, this is the good thing about it, about this experiment, because you get these conversations and it's not just one person. So you can't say as like, if I'm Herbert can't say like, oh, well, something's wrong with her because she needs she's too needy. Right? It's like, that's more than one person that said that. Now, if Sierra or Lee come out, because he said that he has a connection with Lee, but I've yet to see them on a date. Have you seen them on a date? I don't recall this. I don't think I've seen them. I think maybe they have been on a date, or maybe that's who he's talking to, because I don't really see a lot of Lee either. I've seen her more on this show, actually. I see her talking.
Yeah, I saw her more this show, but I don't remember. Okay. I don't think we have seen them on a date.
And let's just go ahead and talk about this and get this out there. Lee's body is illegal.
It is.
Okay. I am #offended/not. She has an amazing body. I'm not offended at all. When she went to that date with Marvin and she had on this like cat suit or whatever, and I know she probably just wears stuff like that because she can, but I was like, oh, he already just said he got an ass fetish and this is what you choose to wear. Like, you are really doing it. Her body is crazy. Then she came in.
I mean, but she ain't gonna change herself because of him, and he need to be able to control herself. She does have a bomb body, and when she gives life to, she's wearing the clothes. The clothes are not wearing her. Like, she's definitely wearing the clothes.
I'm loving this cast in their outfits, actually. I really like Janelle's orange pants. Those were cute. Tommy was like, I like those pants. She's like, they like you too. I liked all of the colors that the women were wearing. And I really liked that red dress that Lee wore to the ladies' lounge. And I've liked a whole bunch of other stuff. Oh, Aries and Phil's date, which we're about to get to. They kind of dressed alike. That leather dress she had on, that was cute. Yeah. I'm like, really like, oh man, like looking at all the fashion, like this is really fun for me. But okay, so that was just an aside. I want to talk about Quentin and Janelle, because these last 2 couples we're going to talk about, I feel like this is the heat that I was actually waiting for. Quentin and Janelle are heating up a little bit, and they're having these conversations. So all of those questions that I had about whether she's willing to have children and stuff, they cleared all this stuff up in this conversation. And again, he's giving the grown man vibes. And I like, when I'm talking about her communication skills, like, I don't know that she's mastered it, and I don't know if she knows that she comes off to people as condescending sometimes, but like, she communicates with her eyes, she communicates with her body language, and that was just something that I noticed about her, because as he was talking, she like laughed at one point, and then it seemed like he got a little bit serious, and she didn't switch up too much, but you could tell that she was receiving what he was saying. And I think that's really dope, is to see them kind of like get closer. And they talked about the age difference thing. And really, it's only, I think, 7 years But I'm not really sure. But I mean, like, that's not really a lot of time when you really think about it. It's not really a big gap. And I've seen people with more time than that, you know, and they get
it just depends on the person. I mean, they say the rule is half your age plus 7 or 8 or something like that. Oh, that's too young for me. But I've seen it happen. I've seen it work. But yeah, he doesn't come off. It depends on the person. He doesn't present himself as, like, from what I've seen on the show, as immature.
Yeah.
And he's been able to communicate really well.
Yeah.
You know, so I think I did like the fact that they did make a little connection. It didn't seem like it was forced, and she didn't ask any questions that I felt like she shouldn't have asked. Like she asked when she talked about Herbert, like, are you not feeling me or whatever? I was like, okay, good.
Oh, she did say something like that.
Yeah, but now, I like that. I like their connection.
I like their connection too, and I feel like it's heating up a little bit. And I like his confidence because it's not cocky; it's just confident.
Because he still got other connections. So I don't know. I don't know. Like, he really seems to like her though. He really seems to like her. It
seems like it. So, and it's like I need to see Lee with her connections because I don't know what that looks like. That could be the next episode or the next couple of episodes where we're kind of seeing the connections we didn't see, and we're like, oh wow, I didn't know this was happening. You know what I'm saying? All the time. Like, I wasn't able to see Chris. I wasn't able to take Chris seriously, not Christopher, but Chris. I wasn't able to take him seriously because it's just like he's always, I don't know, he seemed a little, not surface, but I think him and Jessica are having some real good conversations about, like, their needs and stuff like we just talked about. So they might be actually progressing too. And she seemed to come away and say that was a good conversation. So that might be heating up. But we're just, you know, it's just like time will tell. Now, let me talk about
time will tell.
Phil and Aries. They were feeling each other on that date, my friend. I can feel it. Okay, he was looking at her. Okay, he was looking at her.
She was looking at him too. She was
yes.
Listen, like, when you have, like, that kind of makes you feel like an old school vibe of feeling, right? Like, you're on the phone with this person, you're talking about all these things, and then you finally get together. And so I felt like we could see the connection between them. They were both giving each other googly eyes. He made her blush. They even had a little kiss at the end of the date.
Which is so cute.
So it was cute, and I actually do think that they look good together. I think that they
make a great couple. And then the most important thing, when they talked about their kids, and she was like, "Oh, let's talk about this," like, doubts, whatever. I have my boys, you know what I'm saying? And I loved his response. He's like, "Oh yeah, he has a child too. I don't know whether it's a girl or a boy, but he's like, you know, now we're gonna have 3. I'll have to make them from scratch." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." So I just can really see them working out. And listen to me, I'm all like falling for these couples. Like, this is what happened with me and Simone and Rashid. So I need to take it slow.
Oh gosh.
Because I fall in love with these couples. Like, I fell for Clifton and Joy like this too.
Yeah, I did too.
I was like, oh my God, I want them to be together. So it's like, I don't want to, you know, I got to see what happens before I start, you know, invite myself to the wedding. But
we're halfway through. You stupid. Yeah. We're halfway through. This is episode 6. You know what I'm saying? And next week are the X dates for the women. They get to meet the men's ex, and it don't look like it's gonna. All of them are gonna go over well. So that should be really freaking interesting. But let's talk about how they did this elimination. Tommy put out his curveball and was like, I got a curveball. 2 men are going home. And I saw how they threw a little third one in there so we wouldn't realize who was going home first or whatever. And it ended up being Marvin and Christopher, and Marie lives to, you know, date another day, right?
Yeah.
So do you think you agree with those 2 choices, right? I agree with those 2 choices.
I feel like that's who I thought was going to go. I didn't know 2 people were going to go. But I thought it would be
one of them.
I think I did. I have to go back and look because who knows what I said. But I knew Marvin was going to be in the bottom. I couldn't remember who I said, who else was going to be in the bottom. But I knew Marvin was going to be in the bottom. And it makes sense that Chris, you know, sort of took the hit too, because nobody was really checking for him like that. I don't think he ever really got to click with anybody in order for them to be like, it seemed like nobody was fighting for him.
Nobody was, no. Like,
so I wasn't shocked.
Homeboy was dry, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I wasn't
but he was irritated, and he was just like, you know what I mean? But I think that just like last week when they sent Marvin to send home Unique, they sent Marvin to send home Unique, right? They sent him
I
on that
think
date.
so.
They sent Kat to send Marvin home. I was just like, what is this sending his connections to send them home? I don't know if that's more comfortable, or I'd rather be told by somebody. Well, I guess they got to make it believable, though. If they send somebody that you know you're not vibing with,
Yeah.
I mean, you might be like, oh, I'm definitely going home or whatever. But
maybe it's to, okay, I have a couple of thoughts. Maybe, right? A couple of maybes. Maybe it's to put people in practice of saying the truth while being attracted to somebody. Like get you in practice of not ghosting, right? Maybe it's that. Maybe it's the element of surprise, because a lot of these people don't realize that, oh, we had elimination conversations.
Yeah, because when they go on that date, they don't. Yeah, when they go on that date, they don't know that that's the elimination date. Mm-hmm. So they got to, I guess they got to make it believable or whatever. But it's just like, dang, it's like, yeah, not only do I have to go home, but my connection, the person that I thought I was connected to,
it really feels me, like
get out.
It really feels like you're being dumped. It's like, I know we had something, but so sorry. Bye bye. I'm gonna stick around,
and I get to stay here and keep dating or whatever. So
yeah,
I don't know. Mocha said Mocha said that the X dates looks a mess. So next
X
dates, I'm here for it.
I'm here for it. No, I was just getting ready to say.
Listen, my favorite episodes during the season are the X dates. I like to meet the family. I like the getaway. Those are my 3 favorite. Thing. Like I like everything else too, but those get very interesting or whatever.
Yeah,
it's always good to see, like, first of all, who is this person dating before? Also, there's also the element of, are these really their exes, right? So that's the thing too.
Yeah.
In the past, we have
that's
not
true.
That the people were the exes.
Oh my God, Chris's ex looked like she about to tell a whole bunch about him. So I'm looking.
Yes, she was like, she thought
she
used the word servitude. Okay. Jessica's face was like, what? And she was like, it's work. I feel like we need to. And then he was like shaking his head. I got to see how they put it together. But it looked like he was agreeing with what she was saying. You know what I mean? So
at the same time, though, well, so we got to see if they place that there strategically, because at the same time, I'm thinking back to last season. What's the last season? When the one ex came with the dreads and he was like really going hard on people. Like, what was her name?
Cynthia's ex.
Yes. I was like, get this guy out of here. He was going too hard. It's like, you can't really vouch for your ex like that. But, at least they showed up.
At least they showed up. Yeah, because the thing is, like, you could probably be like, okay, well, this is the ex that I'm going to submit to for them to go on, right? Or you could just be like, I'm not, it depends on how it ended, too. Like, everybody doesn't have a situation where they can bring their exes to something like that and not be embarrassed or not get embarrassed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and then you also just don't know what a person is going to say.
You just don't. But like a person with sense, like if one of my exes called me to do that, I literally would be like, okay, he trusts me to make this decision. I'm not going to go in there and make him look crazy, but I'm going to tell the truth or whatever. But I'm not going to, I wouldn't. But then if you had a toxic situation, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't bring nobody on TV that I didn't trust what they were going to say, though. That's crazy. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. But
I would just be like, no.
I'm looking forward to the next show, but now that he's thrown this curveball, I wonder if he's going to do it again.
Are 2 women going to go home next week?
So first of all, Kira just needs to go ahead.
Nobody going to go home.
She just needs to call herself a private car and be like, ladies, I got to go because there's nothing here for me. Everyone, like, why are you there? I mean, I
would be shocked if she did that. I would be so shocked.
I guess she just thinks that, listen, I could be wrong. She might make it to the end, but I don't know.
If she makes it to the end, oh my goodness.
I want to see what Lee is doing with these dates. I've not seen Lee. I saw Lee on a date with Marvin, but I want to see her on a date with her connections, Herbert and Quentin. Mm-hmm. And I want to see Sierra. I want to see Sierra date Herbert. Like I said,
we need another date with them.
Yeah, I got to see what's going on there. Is it done? Because she's seriously, like, I think she's attracted to him. She said so. And I don't know how he feels. So, I don't know. We got to see.
I can't wait to see who ends up on the getaway. Like, that's when, like, the coupledom is in effect, usually, at least for half of the people, right? It's not really, we're going to have some solid couples at that point of the getaway.
Yeah.
So next week they're meeting the exes. Mocha said Chris was looking twisted. James says Kira and Janelle are both right in their observations about each other, but both need to go. So what if they send home two women? You think that it'll be Janelle and Kira, or do you think it'll be somebody else?
I think Janelle is safe. I think Janelle is safe because she seems like she has two pretty strong connections. I think Kira is definitely about to be up out of there. And I feel like who else? Unfortunately, I feel like Sierra might be
because who are her connections?
Sierra might be in danger.
Herbert is her connection, and that's it, right? Because she didn't like Christopher's gone. Yeah, she might be.
She might be making other connections and we haven't seen it. But all the dates that I've seen her on, she hasn't, like, I don't know. They're like either they're gone or I don't know what I haven't seen her with Herbert on one-on-ones. I really would like to see that. I just want to see what that is. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think Kira definitely is a no-brainer. Like let's go with the two for again, Tommy, because Kira got to go. Regardless, like let's just go ahead and how you got flush the line. It's like that's what this is. Like, just go ahead and flush the line. Make sure we get that one out of here. Not that I don't like her. It's just like she has no place.
No, but she doesn't. She's not doing well in this situation.
Yeah. And I don't think I think she's playing. I think she's playing a character and I won't even go that far. She's not playing a character necessarily, but we don't see who she really is because it's like she's doing things for TV. You can kind of tell. You ever see people like who are aware of the camera and they're just like, you know what I'm saying? Like all the candid shots, they seem to have made eye contact with everybody else in the scene. Like not even in the scene, but like I'm just thinking like a birthday party or something like that. And everybody's like laughing in their conversation and they're looking at each other, and she's always just like. That's what she's doing on the show. It's like you're not there for the right reasons or something, and she's doing it in a way where, I mean, I'm befuddled at what I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. Maybe she does.
Yeah, she needs to go, unfortunately. But we'll see what happens because
she's a fun TV person. I'd like to see her on like a game show or something.
And that's why I think if they keep her, they that's what they're keeping her for, because like I said, like they need to keep some element of like, entertainment.
Yeah.
And the fact that she doesn't get along with Janelle and Jessica, and like, there's got to be some more good TV moments out of that or whatever. So, you know, no shade to her, but it probably means that her person isn't there because she's kind of rubbing everybody the wrong way. So we'll see how it plays out next week. They get to meet the exes. I can't wait to see. Hopefully they show us a lot of dates. Like hopefully everybody has an ex to bring or present or whatever. Yeah.
I'll be curious to know from Kira if she's learned anything from this process about herself.
That's a good question.
That's what I would want to know.
I guess we'll have to wait until the end and it plays out because she don't even know everything is going to be shown yet. So we're only halfway through now. So we'll see. I mean, that'll be one of the post interviews, the post show interviews, the post season interviews that I would be interested to see a little bit of.
I'd like to see that too. I'll be on the lookout for that one.
Maybe we'll get to know like more of the real her and not the parts that they put on TV.
Yeah.
You know I mean, so yeah, I mean, but that's all I had to say about it. I did enjoy the episode. We finally got to see some connections. And I just can't wait to see what happens next week. Is he going to do a perfect call? Is he going to not send nobody home? Because, he likes to do that too. What was you about to say?
I completely forgot about Kat.
Oh, God. We did forget about Kat. Kat and, well, no, we talked about her. We talked about her.
We talked about her, but as far as the elimination, I mean,
because wait though, who was saying? Let me see last week. Hold on, because last week
I completely forgot about her.
She had so Phil said her name last week, so maybe that's one of his other connections. But he be on the phone with Aries all the time, so maybe she's not. And Marvin said Kat. Marvin's gone now, so Kat may be in danger.
Yeah,
Kat may be on Kia. So so if they do two, it can be. I feel like it'll be Kat before Janelle.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Kira and Kat are the next two to go. I said it. Everyone, You don't need to tune in.
So we're gonna see y'all next week, Thursday. We go live for Thursday Night Live. We talk about trending topics, whatever crazy stuff has happened in the world. I mean, at this point, it's 2023.
Guys.
We've seen a lot, so who knows what can happen next week. And we also talk a little bit about Ready to Love before the show comes on next week. And then we back live on Friday. So definitely make sure that you are following us, subscribe to this page. I put my sister's page. I think I put it in the
Yasmin Unicorn 24/7. It's scrolling at the bottom of the screen.
And it's scrolling at the bottom of the screen. That's on IG and on YouTube.
Yep.
Also subscribe to our other channel, D City Life Sisters. Because we'll be putting some extra stuff over there. She does tea with TTs over there. Shout out to the content creators that was in the building today. Mocha Mima Media, follow her. I shared one of her videos yesterday, so it's on my community wall. And follow Kamisha Reviews. Shout out to her. Another big shout out to Aries from Ready to Love. She graced us with her presence.
Yes.
And she dropped a little, she had a little conversation for us or whatever. I always pick favorites throughout the seasons. And I know, I was a big Sabrina Soul fan, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so I was a big Joy Ann Clifton fan, right? But I like Aries. I like Aries a lot. And I like Lee as well. I also like Jessica. But anyway, but shout out to her. But yeah, so we will end the show tonight by saying, bye, Marvin. Bye, Christopher.
Bye, Christopher, Marvin.
But yeah, we'll see y'all next week. That's it.
That's all I got too.
Peace, everybody. Peace. Bye.